let's get into bonds, because people are seeing a lot about bonds. Are bonds bad or bonds good? And the reason I think you're seeing a lot about bonds right now is because inflation. So let's talk about the state of inflation right now.
Yeah, we're having a lot of chatter about bonds because of the state of inflation, but also the state of the stock market because the stocks are going down. People want some kind of insulation from the downward movement of stocks. That generally leads people to bonds. But then we have this inflation thing taking place where the price of our goods and services, everything that we buy is just skyrocketing. And there's a couple different ways that is related to bonds. One is bonds typically have a less return potential than stocks. So if inflation is in excess of 8%, and traditionally we would expect to get somewhere between 4 to 6% off of our bonds, well, our bonds then we would actually be losing against inflation. Our purchasing power would be a net negative. So bonds are a really interesting conversational point right now for both of those reasons. Stocks are plummeting, where else do we put our money? And inflation is skyrocketing, and bonds aren't necessarily getting the job done in a traditional environment. And then we throw in interest rate increases where people are actually losing money in bonds. It's a really interesting conversation right now.
Yeah, and one reason, why we hear so much talk about interest rates increasing is to tame inflation. So it's really this vicious cycle. So inflation's very, very high. Well, one way to tame that is for the Federal Reserve to increase interest rates. So we've heard a lot about interest rate hikes, and that's going to have a large impact on the bond market.
So guys, I don't know if it's too much of a stretch, but I've got a bond correlation here. Jaws, he's the greatest enemy of James Bond. Is it fair to say interest rates the greatest enemy of bonds?
Yes, actually, it's very fair to say. In fact, I got a great example prepared for you right here to demonstrate exactly how this works. So interest rates do have a direct impact on what takes place with your bond portfolio. When interest rates are level, so we go through periods of time where interest rates aren't really going up, aren't really going down, they stay pretty steady, then what we see is bond prices are pretty steady and interest rates, as I mentioned, are pretty steady. So imagine this as a teeter-totter. Okay, so over here we have bond prices, over here we have interest rates, and right now it's flat. But the environment that we're in right now, we see interest rates going up. So if we see these interest rates going up, it very much does have the teeter-totter effect with bond prices. Interest rates up, bond prices going down. Now, that's what we're seeing right now, but we don't always see this work this way. In fact, from a period about 2009 all the way up until 2022, we saw interest rates going down. And when interest rates go down, that also has an inverse relationship to bond prices. Bond prices go up as interest rates go down. So that's the relationship between bonds and interest rates. Now, one of the important considerations is how does that impact your portfolio? You might be having a bunch of bond mutual funds and thinking, well, it insulates me from the downward movement of stocks, but we are currently in an increasing rate interest rate, and you're seeing your bond portfolio go down. And you're wondering, why is that? And that's all because interest rates are going up, so the price of your bonds is going down. So if you try to sell your bond to somebody else that can get a higher rate if they go out and try to buy a new bond now, they're going to pay you less for your existing bond. And that's why the relationship between interest rates and bonds is so important, and we see them very heavily correlated.
And I like to always throw an example in with this because it took a couple times to hear this until it really is ingrained. So if I was to have a bond from company A and that's paying me 5%, and then the very next day interest rates increase to 10%, and let's say I need to sell my bond, I need liquidity here, and I try to go sell my bond that's paying 5% to Loren, he's gonna be like, whoa, no. Yeah. I'm not gonna buy your bond, I can go get the same bond that's gonna pay me 10%. So what I have to do is I have to sell my bond at a discount to Loren to make it worthwhile for him. And that's why when interest rates go up, the price of the bonds go down.
Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.